I want to explain why Lord Maurice Glasman represents a genuine intellectual and political danger, not merely to Labour's traditions, but to farming communities, to the Catholic social teaching that he claims has inspired him, and to any coherent vision of Brexit in the interests of working people. Maurice Glasman is an arch magician who has manipulated these basic ideas and he's cherry picked what he wants, and then he presents it as being within the tradition of Labour, within the tradition of Catholicism, within the tradition of farming. He is wrong. He's clever, eloquent, seductive, friend of Roger Scruton, so I'm not surprised. But that's precisely the problem. He cobbles together incompatible traditions, cherry picks what flatters his vision, and plays rhetorical games that confuse rather than clarify and the values that Labour ought to be serving. And I will be clear, I will be precise, and I hope I will be critical. So let's begin with the Catholic social thought, because that's the one which is most easily established. What Glasman claims inspires him so profoundly. He invokes encyclicals such as Rerum Novarum, Laborum Exercens, and the principle of subsidiarity, but he distorts their meaning. Catholic social teaching insists on the dignity of labour, but also on just regulation of markets. It warns against both capitalist commodification and reckless deregulation. Subsidiarity is not a license for local bosses to scrap protections. It's a principle that requires higher authorities to intervene when local arrangements fail the common good. Yet Glasman's practical vision offers deregulated local freedom that would erase protections for workers, animals, and the environment. This is not Catholic social thought. It is Thatcherism in homespun cloth. And he also praises the West German model as the fruit of Catholic thought, but ignores its real features. The strong union, sectoral, the bargaining of sectors, binding regulation, and worker participation on boards. So both of those are a distortion, and a distortion on quite a grand level. And even when we come to this local freedom and the erasure of protections, that is what came to be called Thatcherism. It isn't what Thatcher herself put forward. So again, there's a distortion. Glasman gestures at these traditions but proposes none of them for Britain. Instead, he offers slogans about the common good while advocating trade deals and deregulation that would destroy the common good, that would destroy Britain. In truth, Catholic social teaching demands protection of the poor, ecological stewardship, worker empowerment against capital, and Glasman's plan in practice means none of these. It's an empty pit of moralizing cover for political convenience, and it needs to be called out. He's also, and I think this is probably more practically important, he's a danger to farmers. So if you turn to the rural economy, Glasman claims to honour rural life. He speaks of place, tradition, and the dignity of work. But if you work in or represent farming, you should recognise he is no ally of farmers. Glasman is committed to Brexit in the form of a UK-US realignment. That means opening British agriculture to chlorinated chicken, hormone-fed beef, and low-standard imports that would undercut local production, local producers. He talks of subsidiarity as an excuse to strip away regulation. In practice, this would remove animal welfare standards, environmental protections, and food quality rules. He's openly hostile to the EU, which, whatever its faults, underpinned British farming with high standards, stable subsidies, and a coherent rural policy. And his solidarity language masks an agenda that will devastate family farms competing against corporate imports, animal welfare sacrificed for cheap US deals, food sovereignty replaced by dependence on volatile global markets. He imagines a rural economy free to set its own rules, but ignores the reality that small farmers lose in unregulated markets. Deregulation empowers corporate buyers. It squeezes producers. It destroys the environment. So while he romanticizes peasant solidarity. He invites policies that would annihilate that. And of course, those policies, coupled with the policies of the current Chancellor, are devastating farming. The third point is his Brexit vision, which is not based on Labour principles at all. He insists Brexit was a Labour movement, a revolt of the working class. There is truth in that, but his prescription betrays Labour's purpose. And the problem is, at the moment, when the country is so exhausted by the duplicity of the political elite, any form of rebellion, any form of protest is a go-to. Labour's tradition is about using sovereignty to advance economic planning, workers' rights, social justice, and protection from predatory capital. But Glasman's Brexit vision ignores these aims. He rails against the EU's centralisation. He offers no alternative regulatory framework to protect workers or the environment. He talks of restoration, but he wants to abolish the Treasury and reduce the state's capacity to plan or to invest. He offers no plan for industrial policy, regional development, or food security, only vague moralistic invocations of solidarity. In short, he exemplifies a position that empties Brexit of any Labour content. He sells the illusion of control while removing the tools by which democracy can exercise that control in the economy. Real Labour Brexit policy would use sovereignty to support industry, to defend farming standards, to strengthen workers' rights, to build national resilience. Glasman offers none of that. His Brexit is nationalistic rhetoric with neoliberal substance. In the end, Lord Glasman is dangerous not because he is ignorant, but because he is clever. He weaves a narrative of tradition, solidarity, and faith, but it is a patchwork of cherry-picked fragments designed to distract from the reality. His Catholicism is a rhetorical veil for deregulation. His rural vision invites corporate domination of farming. His Brexit plan is unmoored from Labour's mission to defend working people. We should see through it, and we should reject it. If Labour is to renew itself, it cannot do so with sentimental fables and incoherent slogans. Blue Labour is a parody of Labour. Blue Labour is an invitation to Nigel Farage, just as the idiocy of Kemi Badenoch. Brace, brace! It must recover. Labour must recover its real purpose, as must the Conservative Party, because a government without a proper opposition, a government with a puppet of Farage as opposition, is no opposition, is no government. And the opposition will emerge in Labour's own ranks, as it is doing. Labour needs to recover its real purpose, to stand with workers, to defend communities, to build a fairer country. And by the way, I think that is also a Conservative mission, not to help tear it apart in the name of a false tradition. Lord Glasman is a dangerous individual, and Blue Labour is something that needs to be analysed and identified and condemned.